Hello, everyone. Uh, it's going to start a little series. In this one, we're going to create a aircraft package and try and get a model in game. Now, I'm using a free model. You can get it. This is Sketchfab. This is actually where I got it because I have an account. You can also get the same one here. And it's actually the same. I mean, it's literally the same file, same depth. Free account, and let's get started. You download, you'll get this file, and we'll just extract it. And what you get here, this guy did a good job. You get the textures, which 36 of them. You can see 90% of them are the gauges. Got a ton of gauges. So here's our exterior. This is probably the only one we're going to set, or one of the only ones to this time. Okay, so he's got textures, which is cool. Okay, and then here, guessing, yeah, here is his actual model right there. So that's the one we're going to open in Blender. And then, but we first need to get a project folder. Now you can put it anywhere and you can actually move it. And once you build your project inside this folder, everything's relative to that directory. So you can move it or whatever and it won't bother it. And then this is just, I just created an empty directory. And these are a couple folders that I like to create. Obviously that one's where I'm going to put all my models. This is where you would put your resources. We'll put this file in here. Well, as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and put that in there. Don't confuse this one. This is where you'd put like your research material or whatever on your project. And there is a sources directory and some of the samples, and that's a little different than this one. That would be for project sources, which would be an active project directory. This isn't. Alright, so then we need a couple of control files, actually just two. And for this, you're going to want the SDK and the basic samples. Now you can use the DA, but it's missing one of the temp folder lines. So I'm going to go in here and some objects. Let's see. Dev mode projects, some objects, aircraft, simple aircraft. Days. They buried this. It used to be pretty much right out in the open. Alright, and we're going to use this. You see, here's this extra part that they've added since the DA. But we're going to steal that, or borrow that file. And then the other one is going to be this one. But we'll just take this whole directory. And in the directory is our file that we need. And just a thumbnail will replace that. But we also need the directory structure, so we'll take that. And then the package sources, and here's the sources. This is different from my resources. Just so you know, that this could be research materials or, you know, whatever you wanted. It's just a temporary folder. This is actually a package folder, which we're not going to use. It's for like artwork and such. If you're building your own aircraft, you may need it. And actually, I'm just going to take this whole folder, although I'm only going to use. It'll be easier than copying and pasting. All right, we're gonna keep the package sources, sim objects, airplanes, and then we're just gonna get rid of this. So all we're keeping are just the empty folders with the directory structure. Alright, now that's our basic package. Obviously, we're going to have to do some editing, and we're going to have to get a model. So we need something in here. Let's see, with our model. I mean, obviously, I guess that's with our model being a technum. We're going to name our directory our aircraft folder, something along that line. You're not supposed to have any spaces, so we'll use a underscore for a space. And then to get some of the basic control files and things that we'll use any official folder aircraft. But of course, obviously, we're going to want to pick one that's close. Your community folder and your official folder. The one store may be different. I don't know. This is a Microsoft Store version. So actually the DA, but you notice I'm not using the sample because the sample is old, or could be old. I don't know. We'll go into the DA 65, and notice we're in Sim Objects, Airplanes, Technum. So we want to go right into the Airplanes folder. And to start with, we'll just take this whole thing. And we'll delete what we don't need. So now we've populated our package sources. We'll get rid of the notice. That's specific to this DA. We want to end up with only 4 folders because we're going to go down to the minimal stuff we need. But we might as well get rid of this one other file that we're not going to use. That's the AI. And then we'll get rid of the sound AI folder because we're not going to worry about AI. Don't need that. Don't really need those. Alright, so now we have these. Of course, we'll have to edit some stuff before we get too far. Let's see. Okay, yeah, here we only need the control files. So we'll invert and delete everything but the control files. Sound we'll just leave alone. Panel we'll just leave alone. Model, again, we only want the control files, which are the XMLs and the, yep, did that wrong, didn't I? The XMLs and the model config. All these bin and GTLF file or GLTFs we're not going to use. So we'll get rid of those. Alright, now we need a model and a whole bunch of editing. But our structure is all there. So let's start in the deepest part and work our way out. Okay, all of these that have the TT, etc. This is an internal deal, and it's like for this Diamond DA62 that we're no longer using, so we might as well do something here. ATC type Technum. I'm just making this up. I don't know exactly. Like, look in the SDK. P2006T. Airplane, this has to be a specific type. You can look that up. SDK, I guess I should show a little bit. Like, I'll copy this part. take that space out of there. We get one that shows. Oh. Well, I was looking for, I guess aircraft config would be what to find. This is the hardest part about the SDK. I mean, it's not a how-to. It's a big. Really, we'll have it in here, and you can look up each kind and get. This is kind of nice because the type designator is what you'll hear them say, and they have this so you can look it up like. There we go. I was wondering why it wasn't giving it to us. So yeah, you can look up what it'll say for each of the types. It doesn't actually have the 206. Well, maybe it does. It sure does. And so yeah, we can actually look up each one and get them right. I'm not 100%. That part would go down here in the ACIO. Actually, I think I did that wrong, didn't I? Did that backward after all that. So yeah, if you don't get rid of those, they'll show the whole at TT. Here's some more of them down here. They'll show this whole part as the manufacturer. That'll be what it shows as the name. So we're going to end up getting rid of those. Now we can come down and skip all the way down to the flight sim part. The only two things we absolutely have to change is this part right here. I mean, technically I could have left all of this too, as far as just loading it in the game. The title and the UI variation are the absolute bare minimum that you need to change so it doesn't conflict. And we'll just make this. And then we'll go ahead and change this. So that should be everything. I hate that. I'm just making something up there. I just kind of hate it. Alright, so that one is good. We've gotten rid of all the TT ats or whatever and changed the two lines that absolutely have to be changed. Here, we're not going to call our model DA62. So and we don't have an interior. And we steal one later if we end up adding it. So let's get rid of that. Come on, give it to me. There we go. We have to change this to match it. And we'll just you could just comment that out. You can comment it out with this, like these. It just ignores that line. But we can always steal that command back again later. This will work, but in the documentation and in a lot of them I've seen, for a single model they use normal. So I'll go ahead and make that. And let's see, now we need a model in here and we're ready. We change that. Okay, we're ready for a model in our actual sources and we're done. Now we need to edit these two packages and this name, obviously. This name, the name of this file in that folder, will end up being the actual add-on that goes in your community. It ends up right here. So that we kind of need to we need to determine a name for our package. Well, the documents, is a specific format, and it's company name. In this case, it would be aircraft. So it's company name, type of mod, and then name of mod. And in this in the actual add-on folder, you're supposed to use small, all small letters, and again no spaces. But here they use a dash instead of an underscore. Now, in here you'll notice in the airplane folder they use a an underscore for spaces, and you can use capitals and small letters. So that's just some of the naming technique. I'm not going to swear that's absolutely necessary, but that's the if you go in here, notice all their package folders have that format. They're all small lettering, dash for spaces, and then you go into the airplanes folder and it's underscore for spaces, and they use capitals. So we'll stick to that. I've named that basically what the package is going to look like, the name. And this is done other than I would, of course, add my own wake up drive. My storage drive is a platter. So, what am I looking for? And size is specific, so make sure you use the same size as the sample, or make sure you use a correct size. Alright, now this is the big file and this is where it's all done, but let's cover the main. This is, now we're back in our root folder again. All that, we've gotten this ready. And the only thing so far we've done is change this name of this and this and replace the icon. So here, that name is important because it needs to go right here. And as you can see, this is from this directory, from this file. It points us into package definitions and then to that file. So all this file does is set up it sets up the name of the project and a few temporary folders, and then sends us to that other file. This file is the one that does all the work, or the most of the work. All right, back to this one. Now this is let's see. Okay, this is an internal name that we can pretty much name anything we want. Let's leave project on the end of it. packages. This is the output folder that the add-on will actually end up in. Now, you can leave it or whatever. I don't necessarily like it. I like output, and I put this in front of it, and that is what that does is when it builds, it puts this folder at the front, and all three of these folders, in fact, I do that with. And here, same. Everything named packages something it just doesn't help me. It makes it harder for me to see what's what. Here, this I'm gonna again package. I'm gonna go make that temp internal, and I'm gonna leave that. This is kind of where I picked that up. Now, is what that does is it makes all the temporary folders, and this is done. We want to make sure that it's pointed to the right XML, and the rest of this up here is all optional. You don't necessarily even have to change any of these. But the reason I do it is it'll send all three of those at the very front, and I can delete them and rebuild fresh. Obviously, this is going to be a little. And this again is kind of an internal name. It's not really critical. So let's see. So that file is 100%. We've renamed it. Okay. So now this is the biggie and the most. Aircraft is correct. We'll leave it. Again, these are specific types you're going to want to look up, and maybe we can show that looking it up by code name here. I mean, I do this quite often with just a single line somewhere. Is that even the right folders? I don't know. Huh. But anyway, there's only certain ones of these, aircraft, livery, miscellaneous, or, and scenery, off the top of my head. There may be another one or two. This is the title, and these are all, you can do the exact same thing in the SDK. I like doing it here because I can, when we get down to these addresses, I can see what goes where. Same with these, I just learned where they are in the file. It may be better to learn the SDK. I should really learn where everything is relative. But we're going to rename some of this. Here we can rename the, this again, as far as I know, is an internal name that doesn't display or get used anywhere after the build. So anyway, this is the title that will show in the content manager, etc. This is actually one of the things people will see. Same with the manufacturer and creator here. These are all things that will be visible in game. The rest won't be. So, of course, you can actually put the manufacturer of the aircraft if you want to be correct there, but you can also put your company name and your handle. Alright, content info. Now we've seen that at least in folder right there. So, and it's just a copy. And what that means is it basically just copies this folder and this icon into your project. Okay. But asset directory, we're in package definitions, and that doesn't exist anymore, right? So we need this directory structure right here. package definitions, and the folder that's in there. Goes right there. And then content info. And we know that's right. Now they put it in content info, then a subfolder. I don't really see the need in that. There may be a reason for it, and I may be messing up, but I just put it straight into content info in my package. Now this is output, so this is going to the package. And because each package, I mean, this is in a specific folder separate from any other content info folder or whatever, so I just don't see that, the need in that. All right, and then I don't need marketplace. And so again, like any of the code, this is an opening statement, asset group opening statement, and this is a closing statement, asset group. We're going to take this whole marketplace thing out of there. This, I'm not trying to put it on there. And this is the sim object, so this is the actual aircraft. Again, just change this to something. These in red in mine, but the asset group names are all, as far as I know, internal for the builder. Okay, package sources, sim objects. Now let's follow this as we read it. Package sources, sim objects, airplanes, and then we got rid of that simple project, so we need that name, and then we're going to repeat that name in the output. Now really I should have my name. In fact, just so if somebody else built one and they wanted to call it Technum, PT20, you know, this makes it specific to me, and therefore there's never going to be any override or conflicts. That's a lot. I know this probably looks like a lot if you're not used to scripting. But I think that's done. I'm going to forget something invariably, and we're going to have a problem when I try to build. If it builds the first time, I'll be amazed. Okay. Now we have finished with our everything. Yes. Okay. Except for our model. We don't have an actual model in our packages folder. We are set up for it. So let's go into the model. Let's do the model now. All right, now we downloaded this package and we extracted everything. We got this textures folder. The first thing I like to do, we don't need this anymore, is copy the textures into my save directory. Here's my project folder and my models folder. And that's texture without an S. And the reason is it's just duplicating the actual format the game uses as far as, let's see. And this is just so later they're here when I decide what's read me. All right, and this is the fellow that put it up. Cool. I'll just leave that there. I didn't even notice that before. And it's the same fellow that put it on those. So now we're ready for our model here. All right, Blender. And I'm using 3.1 with the listed in the description with the newer Asobo importer or exporter. wave font OBJ is what we're working with. Desktop source OBJ. And here's what we'll be working with. I'm not real fond of twin engine. That's a lot harder to do on the final stuff, and I'm not sure I'm going to do. Alright, here's the doors. Now we'll go ahead and set a couple of textures. I wasn't going to worry about this. Just cause. Let's see. Texture. Alright, this is default white. We're going to close all of this and open this. Is what we're going to set is this is our plugin. So we're going to set this to standard. I'm going to go way to the down here, and we're looking for textures, base color. Open. And it hasn't even, never mind. Let's save this. I've opened it. Now let's save it as and we're going to name this the same thing we want our end well, you don't have to, but I'm going to name that the same as what I want my final project. Now I should be able to hit open. Right, and it takes me to the right folder, to where I just saved that blend file. We can open this, and its texture is this outside one. Yeah, texture PNG. This is exterior. There's texture. Most of these are for the lights or for the instruments, but it's texture, interior. Here's a panel. So he's got a few. Yeah, here's interior. But where you set that one, and if we go here, yeah, we can see it. And we'll set this one. Oh, it already set it for us. Okay, so that one's set. I'll do the glass later. I'm going to hit H and hide it for now. And it looks like it got most of it. So that's neat. Alright, well there we go. We're going to save that for a second. Now to get it in game, we need to save, transparent. I could set that. Transparent exterior. This is a windshield. And then you just set the Microsoft properties to windshield. And then set this. You can go 0.01 to 0.05. The SDK says 01, but I've seen 05 is common, and you'll get this. Now we can control it, Alt H, unhide the windows. Alright, save and export. Obviously, this isn't going to be a flyable aircraft. But, and again, it's going to open up, it's going to have, in the same directory as our saved, because we saved. So we're going to go to split or separate. Remember, it's in our package sources. And here's where we need it, it's in models. But I'm going to jump in here, Control C, Control V, that texture folder right there. Now I'll go to models. I use these two. Go ahead and select the active collection. And that one. And as far as my understanding is that you don't need these. You can leave all of these as they are. And it should work. But my understanding is those will set you up for whatever you need throughout the build. Alright, and we'll export that. It's non-mobile, the doors are open, it needs some work. You have to go in and fix the, there's a, you can see there's a glass bezel on the dials that haven't been, I'm guessing it's like glass interior instead of transparent exterior, maybe transparent interior texture, or material, I mean. That'll have to be set for glass instead of windshield. But yeah, that should build. Let's sure save it. So let's just for fun. Yes. And I never did open this. Okay, so yeah, I did forget some, we got to point this at the right model file. I'm glad I opened that. I almost looked silly. Alright, so we have, this is our model file. Now you can use the top one, which is what they do, but the reason they have all these is because, in fact, I'll use it. But here's the thing about this one. These numbers is how much screen space. So the screen space is, they draw a big, huge circle around your airplane, and how much of that circle, how much of your desktop that circle takes up is how much screen space. In this case, 150% means it's got to be right next to you before it'll pop into this LOD. And the further away, the further away it gets, the less screen space it takes, all the way down to 1%, which would be a little dot. So in other words, the lower this number is, the further away this model will pop in. And since we only have one model, we can get rid of all those other ones. I'm going to set it to about 5% at least. I would say 0 to, or 1 to 5%. And we're going to get rid of this. These are just comments. This is how you, actually, let's save this comment. I'll drop it right down here. Just gonna make this. That's the first ones. All right, but again, if you're using Notepad++, or if you know any kind of scripting, you have an opening statement and a closing statement. And like this one goes all the way to here, and this one goes all the way to, and closes everything. Now what I want to do is I want to get rid of everything except for these model behaviors. We'll go ahead and keep these two model behaviors. These are just loading files that these can call. Okay, but for now we're going to get rid of everything other than these two in closing statements here. So from content all the way up. And so basically is what we want. I got rid of everything including that. So yeah, let's just make this like this. So now we have no animation code at all in this model file. And the only line we really need is that LOD to load our model. So now we're ready. All right, and we have the model in there. So we're ready to try this out. Hopefully this will work. And I just have a shortcut to this FS package tool, which is part of your SDK in the bin directory. And drag and drop that project file onto the actual package tool or a shortcut, and it'll build outside. Oh, we got an issue. I knew we would. I've ever had not had one. What did I forget? Uh-oh. What did I do? Failed to spawn lister. Copy and pasted it, didn't I? Oh, wait. I see what I didn't do. I want to put the extension on that. My bad. Try that again. But see how there are all three of my temp folders? Delete and clean build. Real easy that way. No, this is meshes. Alright, that's no big deal. We'll just continue that. And it always throws that error, but that doesn't. Now I should have some before I built. You can look in here, and that's how you tell. I didn't put these textures in here. Remember, we just deleted all but the 3 files in this here. So it populated, or the SDK or the Blender populated that folder. That's where I copy and pasted that directory to. And that's one way you can tell Blender's correctly associated with the textures. Copy, and the output again. Normally the packages folder, where you in mine, that's where you'll find it. We'll throw that in here. See how we did. This is kind of one of the hardest things is to get it building and in game. Then you can save and start playing and testing. You can break it. Just be sure to save first. I'm good at breaking things. This is actually the second one of these I've created. I started out with the same one that Jonks started out with, but I did the first two videos, which is the next one is like glass, and I kind of showed the textures here, but I showed it in the second one on the first go around. And anyway, I decided that model just didn't really cut it for one. It doesn't even have flaps and ailerons, and then when you get to gear, it's he kind of made it work, and that's cool. But this model has separate parts, more like you would have if you built your own aircraft. It's not going to be merged into one. You do that for a 3D printer, and that's basically what that was merged for, I think. I don't know. I don't have a 3D printer, but that's what I'm thinking that's for. So I think it'll give us a much better that's a cool little project. I'm not doing, helping someone else. Who am I looking at? Techno. Not show up? It can look just like a DA62, huh? It did not show up. That's what it's going to look like. There it is. I missed something. I missed some. Alright, go back. We got it. And there it is. It's in game. Yeah. I forgot. I forgot to do some stuff. We're sideways. Okay. So let's go back to our model. I know exactly what I forgot. I didn't center it or position it at all. So if you look at it top down, it's supposed to look downward. And I guess I should. So yeah. Which one is this? Yeah. Undo that. Select A. Now try that. Still not right. Do that. There it is. Why is it not turning everything? Huh. That's just weird. I think it'd turn everything over there too. Get out here where I can. Where I go. As you can see, I am not. Ah. I'm not super good with Blender. Learning as we go. I'm gonna get this on 90. Kills me. Alright. Get that on 90. Now we still also see this is gonna end up being our what's called the datum point. So that's not right either. We actually want that to be somewhere over in here. And I say the water line. The SDK actually tells you it's about the water line, which should be somewhere around here, and about a third from the engine, whatever. A third from the wings, but effectively it should be, looking at the wheelbase, I'm going to say right in there. Okay. I'm going to go. That's where we need it. You shouldn't have to set alternate. That'll change everything. And as you can see, this has actually got everything is already centered in. Okay, so A, Control A, all transforms. That'll lock it in. I don't know if that's necessary or not. Let's see. File, save, export. That was kind of just a mess up to mess that. This time, since it saved all our settings, we'll just go right in there and hit it. And I have to rebuild. You don't necessarily have to clean build, but I do. I like to. Zero skip, 40 done, 0 failed. We had the same mess from the get-go, so I'm going to assume that's alright. I think that's something the way the fellow might have duplicated some things or something. Get rid of that first attempt. I might could actually dig through it and find those, but you know, if you wanted to jot them down, you could go in there and you could go in there and rename them and change them. Get rid of those errors. I may try to do that, and maybe before the next one we can, you know, I'll go in there and set all the interior glass, make sure the textures are all associated right. Looked like it was pulling all of them, so I'm betting the gauges and all are found the textures. When all the textured PNGs were in our build directory there, and Blender did that. Like I said, that's part of the plugin that does that for you. That looks a little more like it. Uh, okay, yeah. Now we're above it. I have to fix some other stuff, but it's definitely in the game. And we could even load into a world map. And figure out what I missed on that aircraft config, that name in the hangar there wasn't showing. So do that. That'll in the next one. I guess we'll cover the glass a little
Kilo
better.
Golf Oscar, Kilo traffic
Do
November,
a little more
246 Alpha
configs.
Tango, taking off runway 16 straight out departure.
Okay, give me. I'm not in there. There we go. Parking brake. And I'll bet it'll fly an amazingly lot like a DA62. That's where we pulled all the main configs. I can't tell how fast it's going or any of that. Not fast enough. I didn't check the weather. I think I got live weather on here. It's definitely flying crooked. There we go. I got something wrong. It's starting to even up as I get around there. But there we go. And the next one, we'll just work on some configs. I had glass, but I mean, you know, my roadmap is like textures, windshields, and rain effects, but we'll have to see. Because, I mean, I did kind of cover the textures a little bit here. So, you know, I guess we can go back and you know, do some more configs Make sure the interior glass I didn't set. But I don't know. We might jump right into in the next one. We might go ahead and jump into some animations. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Took a little longer than I thought, but like I said, this is actually the second one. The first one I did the same one he did, Old Reliable. I can't think of the download name, but it just wasn't enough to do all the way through some of the other stuff. This is a much better choice. You know, you can look at the model and tell. The main thing is that it's already separated. You know, it's a lot of different parts. You know, and the gear. You know, we'll have to tie the gear together, and you know, things like that. So, to me, it just seemed like a better choice for an example. And I'll talk to you soon. You have a wonderful day.